Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I thank you for recognizing me to present a report of the Parliamentary Committee on Social and Community Affairs on the food crisis in prisons in Malawi. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, at the onset, I would like to inform the House that this, as you are aware, that food is directly related to our bodily, mental, and social health, because each group of food we eat has a particular nutrition which is very necessary for our physical and mental being. And in a special way, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, today we are here free, but you never know what happens tomorrow. One of us might find himself in prison. So that is...
Don't be a prophet of doom. Just read the report. Just read the report.
As a chair for social, Mr. First Deputy Speaker.
Read the report. Don't be a prophet of doom. You don't have a church.
I oblige. First Deputy Speaker, Section 30, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Malawi refers to access to food as part of the human right to development and commits the state to take all necessary measures for the realization of the right to development. Such measures shall include, amongst other things, equality of opportunity for all in their access to basic resources, education, health services, food, shelter, employment, and infrastructure. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the Prisons Act of 1955 sets the standard minimum for rules for the treatment of prisoners and provides in section 20, subsection 1, that every prisoner shall be provided by the administration at the usual hours with food of nutritional value, adequate for health and strength, of a wholesome quality and well prepared and saved. In realizing this, in October 2022, the Parliamentary Committee on Social and Community Affairs visited the Zomba Maximum Prison and held consultative meetings during which it interacted with officials from the Ministry of Homeland Security, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, and Malawi Prison Services to appreciate the reasons for and the extent of the food crisis in prisons in Malawi and to find ways of managing the crisis. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I would therefore like to report some of the issues raised during the visit and the consultative meetings and the resolutions made by the committee. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that the field visit and consultative meetings were undertaken following the news of an alleged food crisis in prisons across Malawi in October 2022. That severe food shortage had hit the country's 31 prisons, with the reports that prisoners in some prisons had gone up to 3 days without food. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee learned that there was a shortage of food in all prisons in Malawi, including Zomba Maximum Prison, which had come due to the following reasons. 1, the withdrawal of suppliers from supplying maize because of unwillingness for reasons related to the increased maize market price in comparison to the approved bid price. 2, the internal payment system, as they were unable to process payment for their suppliers in time because of challenges related to IFMIS. And 3, inadequate funds allocated to Malawi Prison Services to cover food rations required by all the prisons. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee noted that the required food rations allocated per prisoner is 14,381 kwacha per month, and that translates to 479 kwacha per prisoner per day. However, in the 2022-2023 financial year, Malawi Prison Services was allocated 217 kwacha each per day per prisoner for food rations, which was covering maize, beans with meat at times or fish in between, and that also includes salt and firewood, which was inadequate. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee learned that as of 14th November 2022, the Minister of Finance had paid ADMAC to provide the Malawi Prison Services with 25,000 bags of 50 kilograms of maize instead of the required 33. Let me read it again. By November 2022, the Minister of Finance had paid ADMAC to provide the Malawi Prison Services with 25,000 kilograms of maize instead of the required 33,000 kilograms. However, the maize was only enough for prisons across the country to use up to January 2023, which meant that the food crisis in prisons would resurface if there was no any other supply towards the prisons to cover February and March 2023, which would be the period before the 2023-2024 budget is passed to allocate resources to Malawi Prison Services. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee noted that even though the Malawi Prison Services had received a maize bailout from ADMAC, it did not have enough funds to buy relish and firewood, such that the prisoners were eating sima without relish, some of them adding sugar to it or salt just to give it some taste, and they were calling that kind of preparation kanyezi. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee was pleased to note that following its proposals on managing the food crisis in prisons as a short-term solution, the Minister of Finance allocated 892 million for food rations for Malawi Prison Services to bail it out of the food crisis as an immediate remedy in the 2022-2023 mid-year budget review. We highly recommend what the ministry had done at that time. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee was also delighted to note that as a long-term solution, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning accepted the committee's recommendation to support Malawi Prison Services with seed money in the establishment of mega farms for prisons to be able to produce maize on its own and to possibly find markets to sell excess produce, and allocated 200 million as a startup package towards the establishment of mega farms for the Malawi Prison Services in the 2022-2023 mid-year budget review. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, let me commend the Minister of Finance for responding to the food crisis in prisons with urgency it needed. The committee did not take this rapid response lightly, considering that there are many other sectors that required additional funding in the mid-year budget review. However, the Minister of Finance considered food rations in the Malawi Prison Services as appropriate as for these allocations. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee noted that prisoners provide labor to government through various ways, such as assisting the city councils in cities sweeping exercises. However, that kind of labor is free. The committee recommends that the Malawi Prison Services should consider amending the Malawi Prison Services Act in order to allow it to generate income using different means, of which might be charged to government institutions for the labor it provides as a source of income, considering that the Act does not provide for a charged labor at the moment. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, besides the food crisis in prisons, the committee found that there were other challenges that the Malawi Prison Services was facing, one of which was accumulation of arrears from water and electricity bills. The committee noted that at times, government institutions abuse resources such as water and electricity, and at times there is water and electricity loss because of broken down supply systems, which are unattended to, and this leads to government having huge bill arrears to settle. The committee therefore urges all government institutions, and in particular the Malawi Prison Services, to ensure that water spillages and electricity faults are rectified in a timely manner. Additionally, the committee urges water boards and ESCOM to consider installing prepaid meters in government institutions to control bills and avoid the accumulation of arrears from government institutions. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, let me finish by emphasizing that as a committee, with an interest in the welfare of vulnerable and marginalized groups, prisoners inclusive, we remain committed to work with the government and all stakeholders in order to provide a good living environment for prisoners, considering that being a prisoner is already a punishment, and that the prisoners should not suffer further punishment by being starved. I therefore call upon the institutions to which the committee has made recommendations to look into this report closely and act with urgency on the recommendations that have been made. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to move that the House should adopt this report of the Committee on Social and Community Affairs on the food crisis in prisons in Malawi and call for subsequent implementation of the recommendations presented herein. I beg to move, Mr. First Deputy Speaker.
Thank you so much, the people of Lower North, chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Social and Community Affairs. Your mic, please. Anyone to second? I see Nchisi Northeast, Tien Hondo.
Senior Chief, not just see it here. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I rise to second the report of Parliamentary Committee of Social and Community Affairs on a food crisis in a prison in Malawi. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the committee noted the need for Malawi prison services to recruit agriculture specialists who will be critical in the implementation of mega farms program, which requires quality advice along the great knowledge and certain technologies. For the high production and to achieve food security for Malawi prison services. The committee therefore recommends that the Malawi prison services should recruit agriculture specialists for this success for the program. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, with these few remarks, I hereby second the report. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for the secondment, the people of Nchisi Northeast, Senior Chief Ntondo. Bravo. And honourable members, I see members are standing. The report, I guess, the same spirit that we can now take few people for general debate, beginning with Baraka West. Zomba, Malosa, Mulanje Bale, Mangochi West, South, sorry, and then Mulanje West, in that order, please.
Thank you so much, Honorable First Deputy Speaker, for allowing the people of Baraka West to contribute on the report. Mine is just a request, or I don't know whether it's a recommendation. I was listening to the report, and it's so disheartening to hear that prisoners are starving when we have fields, when we can when they can also cultivate their own food. My plea is it goes to the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Homeland Security, if they can work together, give funds to the prisons. Let them cultivate or grow their own food, instead of asking a Malawian whose chicken was stolen, and now this prisoner is at prison, and you're asking the same person whose chicken was stolen to feed that prison. I feel it's not on. So I just wanted to request the Minister of Finance and to work together with the Minister of Homeland, give funds to all prisons, give those who do not have land, give them land. They can grow their own beans, their own maize, and have plenty food in the prisons. Thank you so much, First Deputy Speaker, for allowing the people of Baraka West to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the people of Baraka West. Pertinent points. Zomba Malosa.
Thank you so much, First Deputy Speaker, for recognizing people of Zomba Malosa to comment on the report that the chair of social committee has just presented to this house. First Deputy Speaker, Zomba Malosa having one domestic prison is so, I can say, happy, somehow sad on what happened sometime last year on this food scarcity. In my constituency, domestic prison, we reached a point whereby the chiefs, even the wives, were collecting food to feed the inmates, because you could actually hear them crying or lamenting at night that they are hungry. They had gone through for 4 or 5 days without food. It was happening, as the chair of social committee had said, not all the people who are in the prisons are guilty. Some failed to defend themselves. Some maybe they were at a wrong time, on a wrong place, wrong time, something of that nature. So I'm happy that as him, the chairperson, he's having the empathy of the prisoners. I'm happy. But now what First Deputy Speaker concerns me more is what in his report he's talking about the quality of food on what our prisoners are supposed to have. I was just trying to quote him. He was talking about 14,381 kwacha for each prisoner. And I would like to bet him that if me and him goes to the prison today, are we going to see this kind of food which is costing this money? We will just see just that having gaiwa and maybe uncooked nandolo pigeon peas, which these people are eating. Now, if we watch movies, and even us as parliamentarians, we have been exposed, we have traveled in other people's country, we have seen what our friends' countries, prisons are capable of. It's a reformation place. It's not something that someone should be punished. I would really want to ask maybe the chair or maybe your office, First Deputy Speaker, maybe if you can come up with an ad hoc committee. Let's work on our prisons. Let's have these places that are really places that they can really accommodate someone. We see nowadays, as he said, we see honorable people who are even sitting in this house. They are sleeping there, but go and see where they are sitting, where they are sleeping, what they are eating, and what are the toilets. We have had prisons staying 5 days, 7 days without water. Really, if we sit, let's try to reflect on that. And not only that, First Deputy Speaker, I just want to comment on something also what maybe Baraka West said about winter cropping. Like in my constituency, Domas prison has got a lot of land where these people, and we are blessed with water. We can practice winter cropping. I really want if government can supplement in the prison with a lot of fertilizer, so that maybe these people are able to grow their own food. They eat nicely. They have even crows where they can even cook, they can rear chickens. They can even have their own goats. They can even have their own cows. The chairperson was talking that in the budget there is meat, there is fish. I think these things we are capable. Our prisoners can have this thing if we just if we try to give them, give them the capacity of doing that. We have seen, if you come to Zomba, that in Pupu area, there's a lot of land where they are producing their own maize. But all they need is the resources. So,
with those few remarks,
just 1 minute, First Deputy Speaker. One thing, First Deputy Speaker, I will not go without saying, it's the overcrowding. Though the report was going on the food only, but I would like also the chair to think about the overcrowding in our prison. And again, on that note, I would just want to ask the Minister of Homeland to take note that Domas Prison does not have education pass whereby one can go or can learn like right from 4 or maybe right standard 8. I would like to have that package in my prison, Domas Prison. And again, if it's possible, if they can send us some legal people so that at least they can just try to see the prisoners' crimes, because some of them maybe they have been on parole for, they have been on remand for maybe 5-6 years. So I would like even if they can give us those legal people so that at least that can decongest our prison. With those few remarks, First Deputy Speaker, I would like to support the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zomba Malosa. People of Mulanje Bale.
Good afternoon, First Deputy Speaker. And indeed, I would like to thank you in a special way for recognizing the good people of Mulanje Bale from Chinyama area and Nyangayachoka to come all the way from those poor roads and poor network connection to come and shine in this house. We are an example of development. And when we listen to people speaking about development, as the chairperson of social committee has done today, we rise in support of them. And to see our sister from GC seconding such a good report, we rise and applaud them because we have come from very far. We know each other and we've been buddies and friends in this house.
We say we've come a long way. Please proceed.
We've come a long way. Thank you very much, sir. Right Honorable Speaker, if prisoners, inmates, were here seated listening to us, some of us would be beaten today. Because we are discussing their warfare without any empath at all. I wish what the chairperson has presented today was seriously being taken care by the executive arm of government. I know you stopped the chairperson from predicting that one day some of us will be there. I always tell my kids that one day I'll be there. If I end up not being there, I know it's just by chance. But we live in a country of envy, jealousy, and a lot of other problems. People in this country were just born seeing their friends suffering. There are people in prisons today, chairperson, and the seconder, and the Right Honorable Speaker, that have never committed any offense. May God be with them, and I feel for them. But how do we feel as leaders when inmates can stay 5 days, 3 days, 4 days with no food? And we have the luxury of eating every day. Possibly that's why I feel some prisoners are mad enough. They could have beaten us if they heard us discussing about them. Some could have even asked us to stop discussing and wait for our turn to be prisoners so that we can appreciate what they are going through. Chairperson, the problem is not them. The problem is not us. The problem is not the prison service. The problem is not Malawi. The problem is all of us. How do we live in this generation with a 1957 piece of legislation that bans the prison service? Up to today, we've allowed our prison to operate without any amendment, and we stand here thinking we can change the prison service. Honorable Speaker, the prison service cannot be changed without changing the law. Laws are very vital. I wonder, we come here, there are times we change some laws within seconds. But because the prison service is poorly funded, they are the most poor government organization in the world, they cannot talk to any of us to lobby. They have no mouth, they have no ears, they have no legs to come here. No one stands with them.
Honorable Member Mulanje Bale, our brothers and sisters in prison, they have a voice. They have a channel to communicate through us all here. Continue speaking.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I agree with you, they have a voice, but unfortunately they don't have the money. I would like to say, Right Honorable Speaker, we cannot be talking about prison service when the prison themselves, prison department is one of the poorest funded department. For once, in my dream, if I became the president, I would have dissolved the prison services. Because we don't need the prison services in this country. We are already living in a prison with and without going there. That's how I feel. But because it's a dream, that when I was a president in my dream, but I'm not the president. I'm not trying to propose that I'll be next president, but my ambitions still stands. I don't know when, but that's an ambition that I still should. Right Honorable Speaker, we can do better. We can do better as a nation. The chairperson has lamented. Can we allow an ad hoc committee of that committee on social and the committee on legal affairs just go to Maula tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Some of us can be spectators. They can combine their forces. They will be sorry to find some of the people that are there. They don't even need to be there in prison. Someone was just driving in the city, and because he's known, his name is Victor Musowa, he's a member of parliament, he just told the police, pick him, drop him in prison. I don't like them. They are there up to today. Just the Limbe police alone, 2,600 people were discharged for no one going there to offer evidence. So someone arrested people, and they never went there to say, oh, you are, and when even they were called to say, you brought someone, a suspect, said, I can't remember. We are living in a country, a miserable country, where the people are very miserable. We are miserable. We need to change. We cannot continue to do things the way we do. For how long can we continue to do this? If you and me, the two of us, could go to Maula prison tomorrow, we would discharge 100 prisoners tomorrow. But the laws don't allow us to do that. But the people that are custodians of the law, the interpreters of the law, sometimes I feel they are abusing the law. They are sending every Jim and Jack to prison. If someone says, can I apply for a bail? They say, no, you don't need to, come next 2 months. What did they steal? Suspected to have stolen a cell phone that is costing 9,000 kwacha. If someone is stealing chips on Chiwaya, the answer is they are hungry. Give them a plate full of chips, so when they eat, they can go home. If someone is stealing maize, not the guy that stole the trucks, but enough to cook with sima, that person is stealing not because he's a thief, he's stealing because they are hungry. Why do we keep hungry people and maintain them hungry there? One day those gates will be broken, I prophesy.
Go deeper. Go deeper.
The time I will resign in politics, my documents to travel will be next to me. I'll clear the prisons and fly out of this country. I want to promise you that. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, you don't keep people and start feeding them. For how long? You keep people, they don't do anything, you feed them. What philosophy is that? What philosophy is that? And you keep prisoners next to ShopRite. And what philosophy in the world is that? Where you put prisoners next to KFC, next to all restaurants, and you say the Chichiri prison is here, KFC is here, and the people here are not eating, KFC are cooking food. What philosophy is there? During the Democratic Progressive Government, we heard of a mega irrigation scheme in the lower states that was funded by the World Bank. A huge one, billions and billions of dollars. Why can't we transfer all prisons and build a big prison down there so they can utilize the mega farms in those irrigated land of the lower Shire and produce enough maize? How do we talk about mega farms if we are continuing to use a hole?
Point of order.
Honourable member, may he just wind up, then you respond. Thank you.
Let me finish by saying there is potential in prison service. There is big, huge opportunity. I was doing a SWOT analysis when he was presenting. I can tell you the strength I've found overpower the weaknesses of the prison services. We can do SWOT analysis where we are seated. We'll see the assessment is carrying potential. If we were to build a huge prison service in Chiteze, where plans are already underway but nothing is happening, a huge one in Lower Shire, and allow mechanization, train our prison inmates to be mechanized and grow crops, my grandmom wouldn't go to the garden anymore because food would be cheaper in this country. But you know what? Corruptors don't want that to happen. Because immediately we have food sufficient, where will they steal from the fertilizers? They have nowhere to steal. So we are delaying this development because we want to keep stealing. With these few remarks, sir, I would like to applaud the chairperson for taking the courage. Sometimes courage is expensive. You lose things for being courageous. I want to applaud him. I want to applaud his committee for taking the courage. The social committee has been so dormant. I think him has worked it up with his members, and it's a shining example of the activities that we have in this country. Keep it up, social committee. Bravo, social committee. God bless you. I support the report. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, the people of Mulanje Bari. There was a point of order from Neno South.
Yeah, very constructive discussion by the honorable member was just seated. But I just wanted to remind this House through you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that a ShopRite or Chichiri shopping mall was built during the time of DPP, not this Tose government. So it may be unfair to come with that outburst when indeed the mistake was made by his own party. Thank you.
Honourable members, I don't want to open another debate.
Without reflecting on you and
I recognize you.
Please.
I will recognize you. The debate on the floor is to say how do we transform our prisoners? How to make sure the food secure? That's the debate, not about ShopRite. I therefore curtail this debate and allow Mulanje West to add its voice. Don't worry, members. It's a good Wednesday. In a day after tomorrow, it's a good Friday. Let's move with the spirit towards a good Friday. Mulanje West, thank you.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Mulanje West to add a voice to the report that has been ably presented by the chair for the Committee on Social Affairs. First Deputy Speaker, sometimes when I hear about the hardships our friends in prisons are going through, I feel sorry for them, because some of the problems that they are going through are man-made. First Deputy Speaker, in other countries, when a prisoner has been, a person has been sent to prison to serve a term there, when they get there, they are asked what do they do for a living. And if you are a mechanic, you'll be sent to a workshop where they do mechanics. If you are a builder, they will send you to a relevant place. If you are an accountant, they will send you to a relevant department. And what they do, they open accounts for those people so that if you don't do anything at all, you'll be sent to the fields where you cultivate, and after harvesting, whatever you have harvested is sold. And 90% of the proceeds will go to the government coffers, and 10% will go to the prisoners. In that regard, if one comes out of prison and commits another crime and goes back there, then that one is not ready to stay in our communities. So I wonder as to why don't we adopt some of these things? Because people have traveled, people have pocketed the allowances just to go and benchmark on these issues. But nothing on the ground is being seen. Now, if we were to do that, our prisons were supposed to be taking 3 meals in each day. But here we are, our prisons are taking food once in a day, which brings about a lot of human rights issues. So I am proposing that if we can change the law to adopt the laws that those other progressive jurisdictions are using, so that maybe we can close this matter, because it doesn't make sense to me to send someone to prison who has stolen my property, and then you come back to me to say the one we sent to prison has no food. What is that? Who is a prisoner, me or him? So I am of the view that we should change our laws so that we realign to what other progressive countries are doing.
With those few remarks,
thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, I know all of you want to speak, but look at the look doesn't allow us. I therefore do recognize the Deputy of the House.
So much, First Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that we curtail debate to allow the Honourable Chairperson to wind up, and also that the whole House we can adopt the report. I beg to move.
Honourable Member, there is a motion that we curtail the debate on the report on prisons from the Chairperson of the Social and Community Affairs Committee in order to not allow the Chair to wind up on the report. Those of the opinion say aye. Those of the good opinion say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Point of order, Tolo Central.
Thank you very much, Chair, and we appreciate what has happened. He will be winding up. But I wonder whether it is in order that we should adopt this report in a form that it is and expect change when such reports have come and have gone. I thought that when the Chair...
wait. The Chair is listening attentively. After this, I'll make a ruling. Don't worry.
And I want to provoke the Chair. I thought that the Chair would be, as he's winding up, would be looking at us now reviewing the law, so that next sitting we must do the needful to pass a reformed law in this chamber. And I thought that it would be in line with the spirit of Rabo. What are you calling it? Rabo chakuti movement in Azija. I submit.
Leader.
First Deputy Speaker, let me just draw the honourable member who has just resumed his seat to Standing Order 186, which says, when a committee report has been adopted by the Assembly, the clerk shall transmit the decision of the Assembly to the appropriate ministry or other public office, which shall deliver a written response through the appropriate minister to the Assembly within 2 weeks. So it is already provided for in our standing orders. Standing Order 186. Thank you.
Honourable members, just for a guide, honourable members, order Toro Centro. Honourable, just to remind you, in one of the recommendations was to do with the law, to change the law. That's why I'm saying, calm down. The report is already in that move. At the same time, as members, private members bill on a Thursday, this is an opportunity. How do we improve the welfare of our people in prisons? So you have the capacity. So you are not limited. You are not limited. The space is open. The speakership will give you the floor. You do the needful. But the point is, let's help our prisoners, because them are also human beings. Chair, Social and Community Affairs Committee, wind up. 2 minutes, please. Resume your seat.
Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I would like to thank your office and all the honorable members here for actively contributing to debate on the floor concerning the welfare, concerning the issue on food crisis in prisons. We have received the response from Balaka West, and where Balaka West emphasized on the need.
Chair, would you just summarize? We're already out of time.
Thank you, Mr. First Deputy Speaker. Issues which has come out very clearly, Mr. First Deputy Speaker. The first one was about the change of the registration because this one is archaic. And then the second issue is about the total reformation of the prison services in Malawi, and also to make prisons self-sufficient in terms of food. But one of the things that has also emerged from the debate is about profiling of the prisoners, such that you align them with their professions and so that they can contribute. Before I finish, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I just wanted also to emphasize an idea to say there are some IT experts in Malawi prisons. They are known to be hacking people's phones and all that. So there's a resource to tap from, profiling them and taking them to the good use or so. So all the points you have shared, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, the law needs to be changed, because what the prison officers said when we proposed some of these things, they said our hands are tied. The law doesn't allow us to do that. So we need to work on that, and I recommend that the ministry and all the relevant authorities should take the right action. First, thank you so much, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, for your participation and the committee for the good work done. Thank you very much.
Other members, there is.
Yeah, so I now beg to move that the committee report and the recommendations therein be adopted by the whole House. Thank you, Mr. First Deputy Speaker.
Other members, there is a motion that the committee report presented by the chairperson of the Social and Community Affairs be adopted by the August House. Those of the opinion say aye. Those of the opinion say no. The ayes have it, and the report has been indeed adopted by the House.